Hi, folks. I think I mentioned at the end of class this morning, Thursday, the 3rd of September, that I had forgotten to turn on a record button for the first half of the class. As you know, we had about half the class I spent talking about administrative stuff and how to work with Microsoft Word and how to work with Google Docs to help you create an MLA format paper. And then I showed you how to upload a paper into Blackboard, just in case you weren't familiar with that. And I didn't record any of that. And I mentioned that I would create a video that would cover that material. And so that's what I'm going to do. Uh, I think this is in the same order that I talked about it when we were in class. I'll start with Word and show you how you can find the MLA template to help you set up your paper. So here we are in Word. We click on File. We go to New, and you'll see this little box that says Search for Online Templates. In this case, MLA comes up right away, and that's because I've used it before. But let's see what the template search tool offers us. As you can see, there's a bunch of other kinds of templates in Microsoft Word. So here's MLA style research paper, MLA style paper. They're both the same, basically. So you click on the box, you click on Create, and then it's going to give you a paper with all the elements in it. So what you would do is you type your name here, you type my name, Mr. Burke, you type our course number, ENG 102612, and then the date. And the date in MLA format is day, month, year. So it's like the way we do it in the military. Okay. The other thing that you can do is go up here to the upper right-hand corner, click on, as you can see, you right click on this, you open Edit Header, and then you can type your name in. The page number is already set by the program, and then you close it out. And then what you can do is just remove all of this just by highlighting it and deleting it. Okay. This actually contains instructions on how to do different kinds of MLA formatting, but for our purposes, we don't need to do that. So we'll just take all this out. Okay. But you can see we've still preserved our header. In this particular template, for reasons that are completely unclear to me, you have to put your name in a second time for the header. And then once you do that, then the rest of the document is going to show it correctly. Titles are centered, and everything in the paper is Times New Roman 12-point double spaced. And once you start typing, it'll automatically adjust to that. Okay, so that's how to use Word. You go to New, and then you go to Template Search, type in MLA, pick one of the two MLA papers, and then you can go from there. I hope this is straightforward for you. Okay. Once you get used to using these templates, it'll make your life a lot easier because then you never have to worry about spacing. The one thing the template does not do is it won't format a citation for you. And we're going to be worried about citation formatting and stuff next week when we start the bibliography assignment. For this paper, you don't have to have a works cited page. If you're comfortable doing a works cited page, you feel you can create an MLA formatted citation, then you're welcome to do that. But that's entirely up to you. It won't make any difference in your grade if that's what you're worried about. Okay. If you do want to do an MLA citation for this particular paper, let's try doing one. Let me get out of this stuff. And we'll put one in here. Let me show you the document we're working from. And I showed you this morning when we were in class. This is the title. We have 3 authors. And in MLA, if you have 3 authors, you only need to list the first. So let me move this over here so I can refer to it. Okay. Craig Paul A. I think that's the right one. Yes, Paul A. Craig. And then I type et al, which means and others. And that's considered a complete sentence. That's why we put a period at the end of it. Then we do the title, and that goes in quotation marks. And that also is considered a sentence. Let me make sure I've capitalized it. You follow, by the way, the capitalization conventions that the article actually uses. Okay. And then we list the name of the journal, and I always forget what that is, so we'll go back here and look at it. Journal of College Science Teaching. I don't know if this will copy and paste. Let's try that. Okay, and here I need to change the typeface. I used, by the way, a trick when I did that called Control V, and that's going to take whatever you copy and put it in there. So I want to change the typeface to Times New Roman. This is one of those things where it may be easier just to do it yourself. Okay. And because this is an academic, because this is a journal, what's called a complete work or publication, publication titles go in italics, article titles go in um, quotation marks. Okay. And then, if I remember right, it's volume 40, number 2, 210. So I put the volume, and I put the issue number, and then I put the date, and then I put PP, because I know what the page numbers are because they're on the PDF here. And this starts on page 50, and it ends on page 55, I think. That's the last page here. 54, 55. Okay. So you can see the program automatically double spaces it. If you want to make this correct, you'd have to make it what we call a hanging indent. And the simple way to do that is to highlight it, right click, go to paragraph, and here you see indentation, and you'll see this thing where it says hanging. Okay, now watch this. There it is. So you've now created an MLA citation. Um, so let me save this file because we'll come back to it, and I'll use it to show you how to upload. I'm going to save this to my OneDrive because that's the best place that I try to save everything. And I'll just call it something here, MLA sample. And then we'll click on save. Okay. So I can close this now. By the way, when you're uploading a paper to Blackboard, make sure that the file you're working in is saved and closed before you do so. Blackboard will not always let you upload a file that is open. Okay. So we're done with Word for now. So let me close this out, and let's go to, I don't need this anymore. Let's go to our pal Google Docs. Google Docs also has a template function in it. This is my Google Docs page. So if I want to write an MLA report or an MLA formatted paper, I would just click on the report button or the MLA button here, and it gives me this. And as you can see, it's the same format that the other Word document is for the same function. The one big advantage is that it automatically puts in the date for you. It knows what day it is and what month it is, and it puts it in the right format. So I would just have to change this to 2020. You can see it's waiting to reconnect here. Now in Google Docs, you'll notice that they don't give you a space to put in your name, your last name, but you need that for MLA format. I don't know how to do this in Google Docs, but I'm sure that you smart students out there know how to do that. So however you get your last name in here next to the page number, that's what you need to do. Okay. And you can see that it's paginated all the way through. I wonder if it's insert, if it's under header or if it's under edit. Paste without formatting, select all and replace, download, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Um, okay, headers and footers. So I should be able to type my last name in here. Okay. And then once I've done that, then I should be able to close this somehow. I don't know how to do that. I just by clicking. And then it should put it all the way through. So yeah, so when you do that, you go to edit. Is that where we went? No, where did we go? It was okay, it was insert and then headers and footers. You can see I don't use Google Docs very often. Alrighty, last thing, when you're finished with your summary in Google Docs and you want to save it as a Google Doc, but then download it as a Word compatible file, Microsoft Word, Open Office or Open Document, rich text format, or a PDF. Word can read all of these. So save it as one of those. All you have to do is click on this. It'll give you another window. You want to go to Save File and then click on OK. And it probably has saved it in download in my computer. In fact, we could take a look at it. Because that's where, when I click on Save File, that's where the default save is. So if I go to Downloads here, you'll see a ton of stuff. Yeah, report. You can see it as an MLA, I'm sorry, as a Word document. Okay, so that's the advantage of using Google Docs, is that it allows you to save it in different formats. And again, that's going to be the key towards making sure that it opens in Blackboard. Because as I've said a million times, and you're probably tired of hearing it, Blackboard and Google Docs per se don't always play well together. The second issue with Google Docs is that many times students will upload a file, a Google Docs file, but they won't give me permission to edit it. Then I have to email the student and say, would you please let me grade your paper? And that puts both of us in a bad mood. So I would not recommend you do that. Alrighty, I've closed out of Google Docs and I am in our Blackboard page. This is, of course, what you see when you log in, except you won't have the student preview mode. Between the end of class and the time I made this video, I added a link here on the front page. So if you want to go right to where the summary turn-in area is, you can just click on this link on the front page and it'll open. And again, what you want to do is you want to go to Browse My Computer and you want to find your file. Now we saved the first one of these in the OneDrive. So I should see it here as MLA sample, and I click on open. You can see the file name appears down here in the attached file section. Don't put anything in this box, the text submission. Don't do that because I have to pull it out, and when I do, all the formatting will disappear. I won't know where the paragraphs start or stop. In the comments section, you can leave that blank, but you can use it to tell me things like, I've been to the Writing Center, or you can explain, if you have to submit your paper late, you can explain why. My house burned down, my computer crashed, I had to start all over again. Whatever reason you have for not submitting a paper on time, or if there's anything else you want to tell me in here. Sometimes students will say, I really struggle with one part of it and I need feedback about X. So that's a good use of that space. But otherwise, if you don't have any questions for me, or you don't want to tell me that you've been to the Writing Center, then just leave it blank. So we've got our attached file. Let me move this out of the way so you can see it. So how do we submit? We just click on submit. Okay. When you submit, you're going to get a little a little purpley colored box up here. And that tells you that you were successful. That's the first word in it, success. You should also receive in your student email an email from Blackboard that says your paper uploaded. The other thing you'll see is a image version of the file posted in this box. And that's normally what you'll be able to look at. If it's a rich text file or if it's a Google Doc, this area will be blank. And that's because, again, those are two files that don't necessarily always play well with Blackboard. Rich text files play better than Google Docs. Okay. So then what's the next thing to do? So you've got it in there, you're going to wait for me to grade it, and you may wonder, what does it look like on my end at this point? Well, if you want to make sure that you've submitted something and you're not really quite sure, you go to the gradebook area and you can see up here, this is in blue that says, yes, you've turned something in. This is the date you turned it in. And this little circle with the exclamation point means that you made an attempt to submit something. It doesn't necessarily mean the attempt is perfect, although in this case it is, but that means that this says needs grading, and that means that I haven't gotten to it yet. For this particular assignment, I'll start working on these on Sunday, and I hope I'll have them done before the end of the week. Okay. I have other courses that I'm teaching with other requirements, so I may be a little slow, but I'll do the best I can to turn them around in less than a week. All right. So that's all I covered in class this morning. I'm sorry that I didn't record it. I hope this has been helpful. And after you watch this, if you have any questions, please, you're welcome to email me or text me or send me a note through Remind, and I'd be glad to chat with you. I have held some FaceTime sessions with students this semester in some of my sections, and you're welcome to use that as well. You just have to text me ahead of time and say, can we FaceTime? And then we'll either do it right away or we'll set a time for it. So thank you very much for your attention.